Thank you for the question. I think this is an important tension, but I would like to be a bit provocative and say that it's not necessarily a settled one. So while sanctions experts typically want to use sanctions to encourage a foreign state to change its behavior and ideally would like to return the funds eventually, that is not an uncontroversial position. The truth is sanctions are imposed for many reasons. Sanctions are imposed to signal to a home audience that a country is doing something, even if they expect minimal effect. Sanctions are implemented to threaten or saber rattle, and they're also implemented to deter others who might be watching from pursuing the same path. And Professor Kim Nozzle of Queen's University documented in 1989 the idea that sanctions are imposed as punishment for wrongdoing, including retribution, which is not about changing behavior. And my own research on the passage of Canada's Magnitsky Law demonstrated that Canadian parliamentarians passed this law in part as punishment for the torture and murder of Mr. Magnitsky while imprisoned in Russia. In their statements during the passage of this law, parliamentarians across political parties reflected a desire to hold accountable the individuals responsible for Mr. Magnitsky's death, to end a culture of impunity, as MP Robert Nault put it. He was head of the Foreign Affairs Committee at the House at the time that legislation was passed. In other words, the purpose was to punish. And if you look at current public opinion polls in Canada, you will see similar sentiments of a desire to punish rather than necessarily to change behavior. And so, in that respect, I think this shift in FARA towards repurposing that favors punishment is formalizing a sentiment that clearly exists among lawmakers who originally passed the Magnitsky legislation, even if those intentions are at odds with the goals of sanctions experts.